Hey, what's going on, Archons? Welcome to another Freshie exploration. Well, I guess I'm not really popping a Freshie in this one. This is no longer fresh. This deck has marinated ever so nicely. So this was actually, I'm going to call it a deck study. What I did was I opened this deck not on stream, or not on stream, not on recording, because sometimes opening decks on recording doesn't give me the time to just look at it and spread it out in a way where I'm not considering you, the viewer, and maybe an entertainment value that could be there. Like when I stop and ponder, I always got to keep talking, sharing, exploring, discovering. So I decided to do this in reverse order where I would actually open the deck on my own, analyze it, make some notes, which I did using my Keyforge deck study book here. I have lots of notes taken. Here it is. I got notes and games played in a fishbowl fashion. And I found I really enjoy this deck. Like, I love playing this deck. I think it's so much fun. And here's why. So this deck is called Halloran Capital Daughter. It's a Winds of Exchange featuring Brobnar, Mars, and Sanctum. And it happens to have the Grumpus as its token, which is handy because I want to be in Brobnar with this deck. That is definitely something that I look for when playing this deck. Before I get into Brobnar, let me just tell you a little bit about the other two houses, because we're going to end with Brobnar. Now, Mars ended up being so crucial to the success of this deck. One, it had a few things that were great in the rares. So it had an incubation chamber, which was really handy to just put Mars cards away to save for a potentially great turn. Destructive analysis. I like this one. I never got to utilize it in this way, but I liked it from the idea of maybe purging some Mars cards that weren't that important from my from my archive, and then making my other two houses in Brobnar and Sanctum cycle a bit faster and get to use it more. The other thing that I absolutely loved was Martian Revolution in this deck. Had a damage pip on it, and it says destroy each friendly creature. For each creature destroyed this way, make a token creature. Great deck cycling, but what I really liked about it is it provided some really nice destroyed trigger. Oh my goodness, why can't I think of this? Destroyed trigger activation. That's the word I was looking for, particularly with this card here. Martyr of the Vault. Let's scroll down. There we go. It says destroyed if your opponent has 7 or more Ember, they lose all but 5. With the way this set bursts, this card was crucial to some victories. So I really like that ability. Instead of having to just fight, I could play Martyr. I'm obviously risking a turn. There was some taunt in this Sanctum that allowed me to protect it. And then next turn, I could actually use a Martian Revolution to not only have my opponent go down, particularly if they're on 5 Ember, putting this out there just means you're just setting a time bomb that they either have to decide to not make Ember or they have to deal with this card. So it's really fun in that way. It just puts a problem on the table. And then Martian Revolution came as a way to counteract that. This also had Ammonia Clouds. This card was difficult to play because having 2 power tokens, I really had to be careful that I wasn't hosing myself, but at the right time, this card did exactly what you'd want it to do. The card I would say, though, without a doubt, I want this turn 1. I want this as my opening hand. I can only play 1 card. This is what I want to play. And that card is Space Invaders. This card is phenomenal. And it's an action card that says, reveal any number of creatures from your hand. Put each creature revealed this way into play face down as a token creature. I want a lot of Mars cards in my hand, and I basically want to put down all those Mars cards turn 1, and then I get to draw that many cards too. Like, phenomenal turn 1 card. Like, it's god tier if I have this to open up the game. Like, that's what I want. I don't want anything else more than this. This is the number 1 card I want. For 2 reasons. One, not only am I making my hand smaller so that I'll get to fill my hand more right off the get-go, but I'm also in control of what's becoming a token. And I find that is the most important part of this, because spoiler alert here, Brick Nasty is a key part of what makes this deck work. So I'm in perpetual fear of Brick Nasty being made a token before I draw Brick Nasty. So it's always something I'm thinking about and figuring ways to work around, and Space Invaders really helps get me some things I need without having to worry about the lottery of is Brick Nasty becoming a token. So here, like, I mean, these cards were fine. It's more they're adding pips, not really anything of too much of a note. The Harvester can be used, but not really that great. The Mesmerists are nice just because they're providing the ability to do a little bit of Ember control and putting Ember on your opponent's creatures. But honestly, if I don't see any of these Mars creatures because they got space invaded, I'm totally okay with that. I have no issue with not having a Mars board. Now, what I do like, though, is the Sanctum. The Sanctum in this is actually very important. I noticed games when I didn't get Sanctum at certain times, or if they were at the very bottom of the deck, because this deck doesn't cycle like crazy. I may not even go through the whole deck, and that's okay. It's not necessary. But things like this were great. Grey Abyss, giving armor to my tokens, was really helpful. Glorious Few in this set, I think it has the potential to just swing a game. If you're losing on board and everything's not going great, you can play this and suddenly get this massive Ember Burst. And if you're holding also a bunch of Sanctum creatures to then lay down, you're putting yourself in a really good position where you're bursting and then shoring up the difference in board. So really handy. I really like Glorious Few in this set. I think it can really balance out some games where you're being outpaced on board. Grey Augur is fine. Almsmaster was great. Deploy Capture 2 basically is how I read that, providing some taunt for some important creatures that you want to keep around, mainly maybe a Brick Nasty. Really helpful in that regard. Battlefield Evangelist. I rarely got to use this card actually, but I mean, it's still doing my gameplay with, which is I want to basically go into a Brobnar turn already having set up a bunch of tokens, some Grumpuses on the board. So this can help make that work. Again, Ostentatious Mount, really nice for being able to give a creature taunt and move it anywhere on its controller's battle line. So giving something taunt on your side is great. I've even used this on my opponent's side just to rearrange their battle line in a way that is better for me. So maybe something already has taunt and it's blocking things, you can use this to move it. That was really handy a couple times. But even on your side, just being able to provide a little bit more taunt for things can be really, really advantageous. This guy is weird. Other than taunt, like, could care less that he enrages an enemy creature, but again, taunt's always good. Request donations. I like this. Make a token creature, it captures 2. Again, Ember control. Any form of Ember control is what I'm loving. Like I said, there's not a lot, and a lot of it came here in Sanctum. And then again, Taxing Journey. So almost all of it was in Sanctum. This is why having certain Sanctum turns were so crucial through the analysis of this deck. There was 2 losses I had that were directly because I did not see enough Sanctum mid game, and they were all at the end of the deck. I don't want Sanctum early game. I want it mid game. I want it to come in the middle of the deck and provide just that ability to stop my opponent forging for 1 turn, maybe do it twice in the game, buying myself an extra turn. Just that pace, setting that pace difference for yourself where you're allowing to go ahead and leaving them behind is really helpful in this set. I find with a lack of it, you don't need to constantly be taking someone off check, but if you can give yourself that advantage of racing ahead in that moment and forging before your opponent, so handy, so crucial. Light Everlasting. Yeah, this card probably the most useless. I found I never got this when I needed it, but there's a lot of great candidates of this being helpful. I just never, the cards just never, the stars never aligned, so I had something in my discard to utilize this way. But I mean, if I could get rid of Martyr of the Vault and then play it right again that way, super clutch. I'd love that. I mean, even again, using your Almsmaster and playing that again is really handy. So the Sanctum in this is good. Like, I like the Sanctum in this a lot. It was crucial to the success. Mars really was helping set things up, and Sanctum was buying me time and also giving me a little bit of token action, but not a huge amount. And then that just left the room for Brobnar to shine. Now let's get into the shiningness of Brobnar. So put each artifact on top of its owner's deck. Honestly, this isn't always played. There's a lot of artifacts out there that can give a good advantage on play to your opponent. And as a result, I had to sometimes just discard barehanded. But I mean, there are going to be things where barehanded is going to put in work for you and it's going to be helpful, especially if your opponent has a lot of artifacts just to maybe clog their draw. It's not a bad thing, but also not amazing. Brawl in, being able to create token creatures, great. I love that. Here's the great thing. Crim Torchtooth. First time seeing this card. The artwork is sick. I'm excited for that for my mat that I'm going to get. And splash attack 4, but you enrage both of its neighbors. Yeah. Just board clear right here. You're essentially taking out 3 creatures with this in most cases. It's really handy. And having 2, forget about it. Ged Hammer. So Ged Hammer is a Bracken, and a really nice Bracken at that. Ready and enrage each other friendly Brobnar creature. With Brick Nasty, just forget about it. You can literally have Ged on the board already and then just create a bunch of tokens, or even have your tokens already out, reap with them, but first get rid of Ged. Everything you just played readies and enrage. You fight. Brick Nasty's triggering. I mean, there was a turn I had when I was testing where I generated 12 Ember using Brick Nasty and Ged. It was insane. And then you have Smith, which does go off in this deck. You do get a board advantage and can really lean into that. So when I was calling Brobnar, I was bursting, like crazy bursting, and not only bursting, but able to fight as well, because I would be looking to set up Brick before I have that really solid Brobnar board, and just fight, gain Ember, and it was great. So you could literally diminish your opponent's board, play a Smith, and you're gaining Ember through fighting. Like, it was insane. I'm really loving it. Triple Bumpsy, nice little bit of Ember control, getting 3, 1 with a draw pips, always nice. Press Gang, making token creature if an invading creature was destroyed. Archive, really easy to get the archiving aspect of this and create more of what you need here. And then lastly with Shock Herder, ready and fight with a neighboring creature. I mean, with Crims, you're loving it. You can get Ged to, if you just dumped a whole bunch of creatures, get Ged to then get destroyed and then ready them all and go to town with the Brick Nasty combo. So good. This is the Brobnar I've been craving. Like, actually, in every sense of the word. I've bought coded decks trying to do what this deck does naturally with, using battle chests, war chests, and loot the bodies, all these combos in Coda. I love playing those, and having Brick Nasty kind of does that for you, and some of those other cards are here, and you can do these crazy generate Ember from fighting and clearing the board. It's like, oh, it's Brobnar in its purest form, and I'm just obsessed with this Brobnar house, and I love the way Mars sets it up, and then Sanctum's there to just keep me in the game. It is so much fun to play this deck. I'm kind of obsessed with it, actually. I don't know if I want to say it's my favorite, but I think it's my favorite one that I've opened so far. It's so much fun. So hope this insight has been helpful into just taking time to play a deck and make notes on it. I hope you've enjoyed this little discussion. Let me know your thoughts. Are there some cool combos that you saw here that I didn't even speak on? This also has Airlock, which is nice when you are in Mars, just to get rid of something you don't really care about and then draw another card. And the idea is I'm digging to get my Brick Nasty combos going and things like that. It's really great. This deck is something else, and I'm excited to play it more. So I hope this was helpful for everyone in some capacity, and love to know your thoughts on this deck. And as always, folks, may your Ember never be stolen and your keys forged promptly. Have a good one.